Adrian, name as many Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera songs as you can in 20 seconds. Go.
Baby One More Time, Oops, I Did It Again, Genie in a Bottle, Lucky, Harder, whatever one was in the Chaps, when Christina Aguilera was in the Chaps. Toxic.
I gotta tell you, I bet myself you wouldn't even get to 5. I think that was a solid 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think I did.
I'm impressed.
Yo, my pop culture skills are developing with every episode.
With every episode. I literally told Kadar, I was like, for my cold open, I'm going to see how many Britney and Christina songs Adrian could name in 20 seconds. And I think the answer is 3. So you blew me away.
I thought we were friends.
No, but here's why.
Guess 3 songs from Friends.
Not because I think you only know 3 songs. Because I think when put on the spot,
sure,
you may have only been able
crumble
to conjure
under pressure. Thank
a little.
You. Appreciate that. Appreciate the vote of support. 2 queens, 2 crowns, everyone.
Hello and welcome to 2 Queens, 2 Crowns. I am your host, KJ Miller, entrepreneur, lecturer, and content creator.
And I'm Adrian White, and I'm an actor, writer, and I teach people how to actually sell a TV show organically.
And tonight we are talking about, you guessed it, Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Adrian, how are you feeling about this little mashup we're doing tonight?
I think it's the mashup I've been waiting on for the last 20 years. So I'm really glad we've arrived at this moment. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. So do you feel equipped? Do you feel oh, this is a subject I have a lot of expertise on?
Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I don't know about expertise. I do feel like I grew up in the aughts, and so these 2 figures loomed large and sensuous over my childhood and middle schoolhood.
Yeah, I feel that. I have to tell you, researching this episode just took me right on back to middle school and early high school. And, it feels nice when you can really be in a nostalgic cocoon, really get in there, just warm and cozy. And just, oh, baby. That is a perfect song. Can we just say Baby One More Time is a perfect pop song?
We can. I played that song over and over again. I still remember this was when VHS was a thing. I went to the mall. Remember malls? And they had some fashion show or something. And one of the goodie bags had a VHS tape in it that was styrofoam. It only had one video on it, and it was Britney Spears' Baby One More Time. It was heavily being promoted in the Midwest where I grew up. And I just thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my whole life.
That song, it was larger than life. And also, this is why I say it's a perfect pop song. It still goes so hard today. It is, to this day, one of my top 3 go-to karaoke songs because I know it's going to get the crowd turned up. Some people, they go to karaoke to sing their favorite songs of all time, and I respect it. I love it. But I go to karaoke to get the crowd hype. You see what I'm saying? I'm there to get you hype and me hype. And Baby One More Time is always going to turn the people up. It is a perfect pop song. And so researching this episode definitely put me in a mind space that for the most part, I very much enjoyed. There are some dark moments, to this story, but for the most part, very much enjoyed. So I'm excited to get into it with you.
I'm ready for this ride into pop fairyland. Let's go.
So, that when we jump into these duos, I like to hit you with a little bit of a history lesson. Typically, the history lesson starts when these two women, somewhere around the time where their careers aligned. The thing with Britney and Christina, their careers aligned when they were 12 years old on Mickey Mouse Club. How much do you know about this? How much do you remember about this?
I remember that Britney, Justin, and Christina were all in the Mickey Mouse Club. I never
Correct.
saw the Mickey Mouse Club. So we were not a Disney family. We were a Nickelodeon family. So I didn't have a personal relationship to that, but I'd always hear about that.
Well, my recollection, first of all, same. We were not a Disney family. We were a Nickelodeon family. And I think part of it was my recollection of Disney is that it was like a premium channel. Like when we were that age, you didn't just get the Disney Channel. Like it was premium. Okay, my parents were not paying those premium dollars.
Correct. If I may, and this could be controversial to say, it felt like a fairly white space at the time as well. And I felt like most of my white friends watched the Disney Channel. That is my recollection. That is my...
Mm-hmm. That is mine as well. It was, first of all, it was a premium channel. And yes, having now gone back as an adult and watched those videos, it was a very white space. And so, no, I was not involved in the Disney Channel at the time. And also we were young. So Britney, Christina, and Justin, like that gang, they were all on the Disney Channel in 1993 and 1994. So we would have been like 7, 8 years old. But yes, that is where these two meet. And I don't know if you knew this, they were friends. They were like good friends on Mickey Mouse Club. So at this time, they were like 12, 13 because Christina is a year older than Britney. So they were basically 12, 13 years old on the Mickey Mouse Club, and they were the youngest cast members. They shared a dressing room, and both have spoken about the friendship that they had. Like Christina talked about like holding hands with Britney. Britney talked about chit-chatting and gossiping in the dressing room and talking about their crushes. They started off as friends on this Disney Channel stage, which I thought was really lovely. For whatever reason, I didn't really know that about them.
I didn't know that either. It gives me anticipation for the rest of the story. I really hope it stays like this.
Oh, if only. No, it doesn't stay like this. However, it is just a very nice space to start our story and a nice heart space, because it's like, whatever was said about them in the media and whatever transpired, they started as friends, as two young girls living out their dreams who loved to sing, who loved to dance, who loved to perform, and who got this like once in a lifetime opportunity and shared it together and were friends. I think that is a beautiful start to our story.
That is beautiful. I love that for them and for us.
So I did go back and watch their Mickey Mouse Club performances. And what's so interesting to me is even that young, I mean, these are two blonde 12-year-olds singing and dancing. You would think they would be showcased more or less the same way. They were not. From what I saw, now I can only claim to watch because I got a lot of feedback in the Kate Middleton episode. People, royalists, felt like I didn't do enough research on Kate. Okay, so let me just disclaim here. I did not watch the entire season of Mickey Mouse Club. Okay, let me just be very upfront. However,
what have you been doing with your week, Kristen?
Right. Right. But I did watch multiple videos, and from what I saw from the very beginning, they were showcased differently. Every video I saw, Britney was showcased either with Justin, which was very interesting, or with Justin and one other person. It was very much like she would kind of be the lead, but always a part of an ensemble. I literally didn't see one video where it was just her kind of owning the stage and taking the lead. Whereas Christina, many videos, many instances where she was the lead and they had her singing. I mean, she sang, do you remember Toni Braxton, Another Sad Love Song?
Yes. Maybe.
It's just another sad love song. on in my brain like crazy.
Yes.
Okay. They had her sing that by herself. They had her sing Think by Aretha Franklin by herself. They had her sing Whitney Houston by herself. They literally said, oh, you might be 12, but you can sing. So let's just bring you out here by herself and sing these songs. And she sounded great at her big age of 12, 13, but literally it was just her. Whereas every time Britney was on the stage, it was more with an ensemble. However, for Britney, they were very much like, we want to see the choreography. We want to see the whole like layout and, you know, dance moves with the partner, whatever. And for Christina, it was just like, get out there and sing. So from even that very early age, they were marketed very differently.
Wow. Now, I'm just going to guess what might show up in the comments. Were those clips chosen sort of more recently, you know, based on now we already know about the Justin thing? Like, is there a chance that they picked Britney and Justin clips because that gets more traction in the conversation?
You're right. Like, is there some confirmation bias happening here with the selection of videos? Probably yes. I don't really have any way of knowing because I can only see what I can see. But is that possible? Very much yes. But I will say, in terms of what I just searched Britney Spears Mickey Mouse Club and Christina Aguilera Mickey Mouse Club. And in terms of what came up for Britney, it was all ensemble videos with choreography and different folks. And for Christina, it was mostly solo performances. However, did the people uploading the videos potentially cherry pick them? Yes, that's very possible.
But it is surprising that no one cherry picked like one Britney Spears video where she's by herself or like one Christina Aguilera video when she's with other people. So the fact that it was skewed so heavily, there may be bias, but it's also fairly likely that it is still replicating what already was there. Okay. Yeah. I dig.
So now let me ask you this. If you try to put yourself in a headspace where you don't know what happens to their careers, all you have is Mickey Mouse Club. And all you've seen is here's Christina being put forth as this like solo mega voice. And here's Britney being put forth as this like great performer, but a part of an ensemble. What would your prediction be on their careers?
Oh, I mean, Christina, just based on that, Christina Aguilera, like taking the world by storm as a solo performer, and Britney maybe ending up in like a girl group or something.
100%. I mean, that would be the natural conclusion. And yet so many things came up in this episode that I didn't realize, or my like historical memory wasn't quite connected to what actually happened. So in my mind, Britney Spears jumped on the solo music career first with Baby One More Time. And then later we got Genie in a Bottle. However, what actually happened was 4 months before Britney released Baby One More Time, Christina was promoted as like the new voice because she got the lead single on the Mulan soundtrack with Reflection. Now, do you remember the song Reflection?
I do not.
We're going to listen to it real quick. Okay, is it ringing some bells? Do you remember?
Took me all the way back. I loved that song.
Wasn't it so good? And so she released that song. Disney released that song May 1998. And Baby One More Time didn't hit the scene until September 1998. Okay, so officially Christina hit the scene first. But even though she sounds amazing, and even though I would argue that song did make a big splash for like the Disney heads and those of us who like love Disney songs, in terms of like charting, it did not chart. It did not hit the Billboard, top 10, top 20, top 50. It kind of flew under the radar. Again, the Disney lovers loved it. but it didn't make a big splash. And so the collective memory, or at least I'll speak for myself, my memory is that Britney jumped on the scene first with Baby One More Time. Does that align with your memory, or what was your memory of these two?
Yeah, no, I definitely remember Baby One More Time, like you said, before Genie in a Bottle. Plus, I didn't know till right now that Christina Aguilera sang that song. Like, I don't know who sings Disney songs. I couldn't name you the singer of not one Disney song. It just isn't part of mine. So I think it's sort of different between having a song in a movie for an animated character. Like, it's not like her face with the song or her album. Whereas Britney, it felt like she was the first to have her own voice, if that makes sense.
I mean, now, to be clear, Christina did the pop version of Reflection. The version that you see if you watch the movie was done by Broadway star Lea Salonga. However, Christina was the pop version of the song. So I do believe in her record label's eyes and in Disney's eyes, this was meant to be like a big moment, like a Celine Dion sort of soundtrack, like My Heart Will Go On sort of moment. Like, it just didn't chart that way.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I guess Celine Dion's kind of the only one who I would know from any movie soundtracks. That feels like a big lift. That feels like like she was not set up to succeed.
Yeah, very fair. I think that was a big lift, and also she was 17, and also like none of us had ever heard of her. Like, so I agree it was a big lift. But at the end of the day, it didn't really chart. So then 4 months later, you have Britney drop Baby One More Time, which becomes this mega hit, goes to number 1 on the charts. And so she becomes, I think, in a lot of people's eyes, and certainly in the media's eyes, the like blueprint for pop starlet, blonde, skinny pop starlet. Like, she is the blueprint for the 99s and the 2000s. Yeah. And then January 99 is when we get Genie in a Bottle. Now, what is your recollection of Genie in a Bottle?
I remember Christina like rolling in the sand on a beach. And it was like, Genie in a bottle, you gotta rub me the right way. Like, it was definitely way more in like, sort of like how Britney Spears was like kind of sexy. It felt more like that and less of the Disney, like, introspective reflection.
Yeah. 100%. And also, I just realized I said January 99. It was May 99. But yes, exactly that. What I feel like I remember of Genie in a Bottle was, oh, this is the one who can sing. I remember thinking that. And this is the one who's kind of dirty, because I remember people were dissecting the lyrics and being like, rub me the right way. Oh, that's sexual.
I remember a lot of like preteen and teenage judgment of both of them. Like, I'm like, baby, one more time, what? Rub me the right way. What are you rubbing? Like, I so remember these like very petty conversations.
100%. Yes. Very petty. And do you know what's like so gross about it is I remember the number of like grown men having these conversations, because like the radio DJs were grown men and they were weighing in on like, oh, hit me baby one more time. Like, what does that mean? Rub me the right way. What does that mean? Sir, these girls are 16, so it doesn't matter what it means. You need to sit down. Okay.
You should have no questions.
Right.
You should not engage.
Don't be asking any questions, sir, because you're grown. Okay. And these are children, which is, I think, the other thing that, because I was 10 years old, because I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, whatever, they felt like grown-ups to me. And now looking back and realizing, oh, they were 16. I mean, they were children for all intents and purposes. Like, you're barely out of childhood at 16. And they were thrust onto the music scene and treated as these like hypersexual beings whose sexuality was commented on frequently. Like, do you remember all the conversations about Britney being a virgin and then like speculation on if Christina was a virgin? At 16, 17 years old.
Wait, so they were 16. She was 16 when Baby One More Time came out? Really?
Yeah, because she was born in 1981 in December, and it came out in 1998 in September. So when it debuted, she was 16, about to turn 17.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That totally... Yeah, exactly like you said, because we were younger. I thought of them as adults.
100%. Wild, right? So they were, just complete teenagers, barely able to drive, and having the whole, like, exploding onto the scene, having their sexuality and everything else judged and put under a microscope. I mean, that in and of itself, just that is wild. But they both became pretty much instantly successful. Both of those songs went to number one. Baby One More Time went to number one, stayed at number one for 2 weeks. Genie in a Bottle went to number one, stayed at number one for 5 weeks. They were both extremely successful. However, this moment, particularly once Christina debuted on the scene, did kick off what would become a multi-year period of them being compared to one another, and really with Christina kind of being labeled as the bad girl to Britney's good girl. Britney was the virgin, and she was in that Catholic school uniform, and she, didn't talk about sex. And Christina was over here talking about rub me the right way and never confirmed if she was a virgin and blah, blah, blah. And so very quickly that became the media narrative.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, I found an article from 97, 98 from The Guardian where they said Christina has a naughtier image than Britney's corn-fed Midwest wholesome look, and is now the core of the new American mass culture zeitgeist kid appeal, the lure of the high school vixen.
Sorry, which one is the high school vixen? I'm very confused by the sentence.
Christina is the high school vixen. But what is a high school vixen? Because presumably this was written by a full adult. What are you talking about?
Also, basically, I think it's funny, like, how the media was defining what was sexy and what was wholesome.
Yeah.
That was wild to me also. It seemed very much a created narrative.
100%. Both of these women were obviously beautiful and also playing up like sexy and desirable. Like, that is both, I'm sure, part of what they wanted and also what was very much being crafted for them from their record labels. Like, in my opinion, in equal parts. Like, if you go back and watch their videos from this time period, I don't think either one was more overtly sexual, right? I think like they were both serving up desirability, which was the expectation of a pop star in that time period. So yeah, the media definitely decided this is the narrative we want to run with, and they ran with it.
Yep.
Now, things really came to a head between the two of them, and this was another moment, pop culture moment, I had completely forgotten. In 2003, when they both shared an on-stage kiss with Madonna. Do you recall this moment?
I totally remember this. It was on SNL, right? Or like the MTV Awards or something like that?
Yes, it was the VMAs, the Video Music Awards.
Okay. So I remember it's like Madonna is the groom and they're both brides, and she kissed Britney first and then kissed Christina second. But the media only covered her kiss with Britney and not the kiss with Christina. Is that right?
100% accurate. Yes, that is exactly what happened. And do you know why they didn't cover Christina's kiss with Madonna? Do you remember this detail?
I just thought it was because she was second. I didn't know there was any other detail.
Because the cameras, after Madonna kissed Britney, the cameras cut to Justin Timberlake to get his reaction because he had recently broken up with Britney. And so the camera didn't even catch, like the live cam didn't even catch the kiss with Christina. And what's so fucked up about that is they knew it was happening. It wasn't a surprise. Like, they were a part of the dress rehearsal. So someone in the control room made the call, cut to Justin, knowing Christina was about to kiss Madonna. Yeah, it's fucked up.
That's fucked up. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not remember that part.
Yeah. And like, it hurt Christina's feelings. And this is why I say it added fuel to the fire, because in the beginning, it felt very much like the quote unquote feud between these two. It felt like it was very much just a media narrative. The media saying Christina's bad, Britney's good, blah, blah, blah. But then this 2003 kiss happened. They cut away. They don't show Christina. And Christina's feelings were hurt. So she was in an interview shortly afterwards and said, it was weird. And do you know why they cut away? Because they cut away to get Justin's reaction. I definitely saw the newspaper the next day and I was like, oh, well, I guess I got left out of that one. And then later in a separate interview with Blender magazine, she said Britney had felt distant, quote unquote, distant during the rehearsals. And this was her quote. Every time I tried to start a conversation with her, well, let's just say she seemed nervous the whole time. She seems to me like a lost little girl, someone who desperately needs guidance. She said that about Britney. So like, whereas before it was all speculation and media narrative. Now there's this moment and there are these hurt feelings and we're getting this from Christina.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting too, because presumably Britney wasn't running the camera.
Right.
Right. So that's just it, which doesn't mean that Britney didn't know about it or anything like that. Like who could say? But that does seem surprising. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Britney commented afterwards and basically said, she didn't appreciate the comment being called a lost little girl. And she told Blender magazine, the same magazine where Christina made that comment, that she couldn't believe that Christina would say that about her because, it kind of caught her off guard. Like you said, Britney didn't control the camera and Britney had never said anything publicly negative about Christina in the press. So that definitely caught her off guard. And to me, it seems very clear that like it hurt Christina's feelings that they both were supposed to share in this epic moment with this pop legend. And history only really remembers one of them for it. I think she got her feelings hurt. And so this just contributed to the feud.
I hear that. Okay. So it sort of goes from a media narrative to like actually saying things to the media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, it's not as if they're saying so much, but they are sort of saying that. And I think that gives the media and the public enough to go on where it's like, oh yeah, they don't like each other. And then later that year, Christina pops up on a tour with Justin Timberlake. And do you remember this? The Justified Stripped tour?
I do remember that. Yes, I do. I was like, didn't something else? I don't think they dated or anything, right? But they did go on tour together.
Yeah. They went on tour and as part of the promotion for the tour, they did a Rolling Stone cover where Justin's like looking at her all sexy. And, it just obviously fueled rumors. Like, it doesn't sound like there was ever anything actually between them, but obviously fueled rumors, which obviously continued the quote unquote rivalry between Britney and Christina. So there's just like, there's enough happening that everyone gets to continue believing that these women are like against one another, basically.
Copy that. Wow. Did you go to that tour?
No, I did not. I did not. I wanted to. I remember really wanting to, but I did not.
I didn't go either. I feel like the only tours I remember from that time period were Destiny's Child. Like I went to a few Destiny's Child concerts, but that's for another podcast episode.
So, okay, so that's their early career, how they sort of like met, became friends, how the friendship kind of fizzled, what the media said, so on and so forth. Then we get into their later career, and this is where things really start to sort of take a turn for the worse for Britney, because, we get to 2007, and you and I at this point, we are like junior, seniors in college, and things really take a turn for the worse for Britney. Things just really reach a fever pitch with beyond the Justin breakup. There's the Kevin Federline marriage, then that divorce, the kids, there are a couple incidents with the kids, and the press just like really, really going in. Then she shaves her head. Then there's a psychiatric hold. Like, do you remember this time, and what's your recollection of this time?
I remember, did someone say leave Britney alone? Was this that time period?
I do remember the leave Britney alone, but I don't remember if it was in this time period or later, but I do remember that quote.
And I remember like the bald, when she'd shaved her head and it was on like the tabloids and things.
Yeah.
And I remember a reality show with Kevin Federline.
A reality show with Kevin Federline? Now, I don't even remember this.
I remember that. Do I know pop culture that you didn't know? We have to mark this moment if that's the case.
Yeah. Apparently they did a 5-episode series on UPN in 2005 called Chaotic.
Chaotic, that was it. It was like not crazy, it was chaotic.
No, I did not remember that at all. Yeah, you got me. You got me.
I'm gonna savor this moment forever. It will likely not happen again anytime soon.
I don't recall that at all. But yes, so now we're in the 2007 period where, she shaved her head. There are psychiatric holds. It just seems like the pressure, the divorce with Kevin, everything is just really getting to her. And I will just say for my part, like, I don't know if you recall her VMA performance that year, but it was like 07, 08 where she performed, I think she performed Give Me More. Give me more.
Oh, no.
Give me more. Give me more. Okay. And to my eternal shame, I remember, along with the rest of the world, frankly, I remember making fun of that performance endlessly. Do you remember me making fun of that performance? Because I did it for basically anyone who I was with.
Oh, that's funny. No, I don't remember you making fun of it. I may have erased that because I just remember I remembered watching the performance and being like, this is the thing everyone's making. I was so surprised because I watched it, and was it up to her old standard? No, but I missed the thing that made everyone so reactive. I was like, I don't follow.
Well, you're a better person than us, Adrian, and we've all known that for years. I remember, I went to town, like, impersonating Britney in that performance, and how, like, just like lackluster it seemed, and to my eternal shame, because now obviously we know so much more about what she was going through. But even without knowing that, I like to think that I have evolved as a woman and am more of a girl's girl, and would have just empathized more than I did in that moment. And, and by the way, I was 20 years old, but like, at that moment, I didn't empathize. I just felt like, oh, look at this lazy bitch. Like, honestly, that was like my reaction. And I think that was the reaction of basically the world. And she was just in this, like, honestly, like, spiral, it seemed like. And it felt like the media and so many of us sort of like were gleeful in it. And I hate to think that, but that's how I remember it. I remember it seeming like Britney is spiraling and we're all just like being entertained by it. And I hate to think that I was an audience member for that and wasn't empathetic, but like, truth be told, I wasn't. I was a part of the peanut gallery.
I remember that period in pop culture. I remember it as one of the reasons that I didn't get into pop culture, or if I was already into it, I kind of left it, because I remember that feeling. And this was around the time blogs were really big then, and there were just these really mean pieces all of the time. I remember that. I remember not liking that. So at least you were part of, I mean, I think it was much bigger than you. I think it was sort of the general expectation. And I do think, I don't know, the landscape is different now. I wouldn't say necessarily kinder, but I do feel like there isn't the same, or at least the shape of it has changed in terms of people. I think less people, like, I just remember this period where, like, the media loved women spiraling. Like, it just felt like they were always finding women spiraling and just like constantly documenting it. And I think
100%.
I think that's less of a thing now than it was then. At least maybe I'm wrong. I also don't follow pop culture until now.
No. I think that for sure you are absolutely right about then and the media loving a spiral. It felt like every week, every year, there was someone else that the media was labeling as the girl falling apart. It was Britney, it was Paris Hilton, it was Kim Kardashian, it was Nicole Richie, it was Avril Lavigne. I feel like so many girls got their day in the media, or their year, or their week, or their month, where it was like, this girl is falling apart. This girl is drunk at a party. This girl isn't wearing any underwear coming out of the club. This girl was falling over, drunk, or got pulled over for a DUI. And the media was just like relentless with it. And it felt like it was this sort of organized effort to pick a girl and bring her down. And I don't know if anyone got it quite as bad as Britney, but I do remember the period with Britney being like, I mean, it just feeling like it was everywhere, everything everywhere all at once, Yeah.
And after she had been such the darling, like 10 years prior, it felt like there was really this, like, I don't know. I think you put it well when you said this sense of like bringing them down, like, oh, we lifted you up and now we're going to bring you back down.
Totally. Well, and so this is 2007 going into 2008. And in 2008, Britney's conservatorship begins. To me, what's so interesting about these two women is their career trajectories start almost identically, right? Same age, Disney Channel, Mickey Mouse Club, get signed to their record labels basically at the same time, release their lead singles basically at the same time, get their number one hits at the same time, go on tour, hit, big fame, whatever. And then their trajectories just like fork in the road. Britney goes down this like really difficult spiral from, a mental and emotional health standpoint. Christina does not. And to me, the biggest difference I can point to based on what they've both shared about their lives is their familial support. Because Christina has gone on record many times talking about how much of a support system and a rock her mom has been and always was for her from a young age through adulthood, like really being a rock and an emotional support for her. And Britney has said now in her memoir, in interviews, in court testimony, how she felt that her family always took advantage of her, manipulated her, and basically lived off of her, right? So she wasn't supported by them. She was feasted on in some ways by them, where Christina, from what she said, felt like, I've got my mom, she's my rock, she's my support system. And it just feels like you can see that manifesting so clearly in how different their career trajectories were.
That totally makes sense. That foundation of trust, and that place where you, again, you're supported, so you have something to come back to when things are chaotic. That totally tracks.
Yeah.
Wow.
I I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I hadn't ever really thought about that with these two. I hadn't thought about how unbelievably similar their careers were and what caused that fork in the road. But it seems pretty clear to me that like that family piece was and is just like extremely pivotal in terms of where that fork in the road took place. But it also seems to me, when I think about this narrative of like them being against one another and having this rivalry and Christina being the bad girl and Britney being the good girl, I mean, it just feels so manufactured, particularly knowing that they started off as close friends. Like, it feels so like, what is this even, you know?
Yeah, no, it definitely felt orchestrated. Or, you know, people, it's so interesting because I think a story has many stories. It helps to have conflict, right? It just helps to sell something. So the fact that people were looking for, and when I say people, I mean journalists were looking for a way to contrast these two and bring that up. It makes sense in terms of what their objectives were, but it doesn't make sense in terms of what the truth is.
Totally. And with that said, that brings me to Queens Helping Queens. I feel like I'm ready to make my case for how these two women that the media loved pitting against one another were actually helping and supporting one another. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Take me out of this pop sad pool and show me how they've actually lifted each other up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first and foremost, I genuinely believe that their time on the Mickey Mouse Club together helped both of them because they both pushed and supported one another. You know, the same way I can think about, I mean, even honestly, I can think about my friendship with you. I can think about us in college as roommates and blockmates and being so excited for you every time you would excel or get cast in, you know, the show you were excited about or get into the final club you were excited about, whatever the thing was. And not only being excited for you, but being inspired and motivated by you, like the way I think friends are. So I think from the very beginning, they both benefited from their friendship in terms of having not just a support system, but a real like inspiration and motivator, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, especially if they were sharing a dressing room, it really, they spoke so well of that time together. I bet, you know, it's high pressure to be on the set when you're that age. So having someone that has the similar experience and really gets it and that you can share that with, that's something special.
Totally. Okay, and so moving beyond the Mickey Mouse years, the way I really believe Britney helped Christina in her career was by giving her the blueprint for what the full pop star package looked like and needed to look like. Because if you'll recall, Christina launched first with her song Reflection. And I believe that her record label and the powers that be at Disney were trying to make her the next Voice, the next Celine Dion, the next Mariah. And the truth of the matter is Christina has a beautiful voice, but it didn't chart. It wasn't received that way. And so I think once Britney came on the scene with Baby One More Time, I think a blueprint was given both to Christina and to Christina's label as to, hey, if you want to chart at this time in the 99s and the 2000s as a blonde pop starlet, you actually have to have more than the voice, right? Like we need the choreography, we need the cute clothes and the teeny bopper sound and the whatever. The voice alone just at this moment isn't going to do it. And I think Christina owes a lot of her career to her record label and herself being willing to switch gears and give us Genie in a Bottle, which my husband pointed out. If you look at the songs on that first album, Genie in a Bottle was the one where she did the least vocally. Like it was the least hard. Okay. But it was the most teeny bop sound and the most, desirable sexual. And so they led with that, I think, after being given the blueprint by Britney Spears. And I don't even know that we would have gotten the rest of Christina's career, which, by the way, gave us so many amazing vocals. Stripped, I think, is a perfect vocal album. I don't even know if we would have gotten there if we hadn't gotten the blueprint from Britney.
Ooh. I had not thought of that before in terms of how to be the voice of the late 90s and early aughts. Like that was such a specific time and there were such specific expectations. I buy that. I can totally see that. I still think Christina I think she would have found a way regardless. Like I think her talent is undeniable, but I think that it probably happened faster because there was a blueprint,
Yeah. And I agree with you. Her talent was undeniable, but think about an artist like, Tori Kelly. I don't know if you're familiar with her, or Jessie J.
Oh, see, but even the fact that they're very talented and I don't know them sort of proves your point.
Okay, these are two extremely talented vocalists, Jessie J in particular, who have had maybe one song hit. I think like the voice alone just wasn't enough. And I think Britney made it clear, here's what it looks like to give the people the package and like what it is they're expecting in this moment. So I really think Christina benefited from that.
That's a really good point. Okay, I accept this. I agree. Stamped with approval.
Okay. All right. And so then here are my thoughts on how Christina has helped Britney.
Actually, can I share my thoughts?
Oh, okay. Yes, please.
I have a little argument about how Christina supported Britney, and that is that she spoke out during the conservatorship. She was one of the voices that rang out and that spoke about what she saw happening for Britney. And she said that it was important that everyone should live the life the way that they chose to. So, oh my God, did I do it? Did I prove that Christina Aguilera actually supported Britney in the critical moment in her life?
You did. You absolutely did. And thank you for bringing that up because, yeah, I did see that, in my research that like she spoke up on Britney's behalf, and which I think is beautiful. And, I am so happy that so many people did, and Britney was able to get out of her conservatorship in 2021. So 100%, that counts. You did it. Look at you.
Yes. Woo.
I will add to that what I was going to say is, I think Christina really helped legitimize the pop starlet of the 99s and the 2000s. I think there was sort of this risk when the powers that be were popping out, starlets back to back to back with the Jessica Simpsons and Mandy Moores and like several more whose names I don't remember who had like the one hit. No discredit to them, no shame to them. It just, I think the industry was spitting them out relatively quickly. And I think to the layperson, it may have felt like, oh, these women are a dime a dozen, one blonde here, another blonde there. They're going to have a hit and then maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't. And then Christina won Best New Artist Grammy. And I think between winning that Grammy, between the amazing vocal she delivered on the Mulan soundtrack and the validation that came from that, I think she legitimized the pop star of the 99s and the 2000s in a way that Britney very much benefited from, because I think it caused all of us to look up and say, oh, this is music that matters. This actually is music that we're still going to be listening to in 10, 20, 30 years. And by the way, we are. Like I said at the top, Baby One More Time is a perfect pop song. Okay. We have not forgotten. And so I think that legitimacy that Christina lent with having, just extremely strong vocals that I think the Recording Academy and everyone else took really seriously, lent an air of legitimacy to the whole category and to everyone in it, including Britney, that allowed all of us to not skip over that time period as kind of an also ran. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So I'm going to say it back to you to make sure that I've got it. You're saying that she sort of legitimized that category of pop star that might not have been taken as seriously otherwise, like showing that there could be real credibility in that path. I get
exactly.
That. I dig that. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Like elevate the genre. Hell yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And I mean, I think ultimately with both of them, I think we all benefited so much from having them lead the pack with regards to pop music in that time. And, we're better off for it. I love that we got not just the Baby One More Time and Genie in a Bottle. I love that we got Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. I love that we got Toxic. I love that we got Womanizer. I love that we got Ain't No Other Man. The songs that I think kind of make the soundtrack of that specific part of our lives, but also a specific part of sort of that decade. I do think those songs stand the test of time in a way that maybe people don't always expect pop songs to do.
I love that. It shows me that, actually, I'm going to say to both of them, to Britney and Christina, you had songs for us for the tough times, so thanks for making us fighters. A fighter.
All right, Adrienne, before we jump into our final thoughts, I have to shout out the fact that you were on a recent episode of the Expanded podcast from To Be Magnetic. It was such a phenomenal episode. I loved it. You crushed it. And I just want to shout you out because it was so great. And I want our listeners to go listen.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it was such a pleasure to do. It's episode 297, so check it out. And actually, I got a little comment from that I'd love to share here, if that's
Yes,
okay.
Let's hear it. What did they say?
Okay, so Christine Harmon 759 hit me up on Instagram and said, I love this episode of TBM, that's To Be Magnetic, but even funnier, I thought, dang, her voice is familiar. I realized at the end I had listened to your podcast, Two Queens, Two Crowns. Love that one too. And I told her, thank you. And she said, I love both you guys. KJ Miller cracks me up. She's fantastic. So your reputation goes beyond
Okay, Christine.
into other ones, other fandoms.
Yes, Christine. You said it was Christine, right? That's her name?
Christine. Thanks,
Christine, girl. Thank you, girl. We love you. We love that you're listening here and there and everywhere. TBM, Two Queens, Two Crowns. Thank you for listening. We love that. And I will also just say, I love to shout out the comments that we get for our show as well. However, instead of shouting out the comments from our last Powerhouse episode, which as a reminder was about Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, I will just let all of you know we got a lot of comments from a lot of royalists, a lot of people who were upset about, I guess, the research I did, or in their eyes did not do, about Kate. We got a lot of comments over on YouTube, and I actually made an entire YouTube video just responding to those comments. So if you're interested, head over to YouTube at I am KJ Miller. There's an entire video. It's titled, Was I Wrong About Kate Middleton? It currently has over 2,000 views and many, many, many more comments. So you can hop over there to join the conversation. And with that, let's get into our final thoughts. All right, Adrienne, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that Britney and Christina have made each other bigger in the zeitgeist because they were both there. And I just have to say, I think Christina has been so elegant and gracious in how she shows up, especially in the in the last couple of decades. Can you believe decades? I think she's great. And I think Britney, I'm so excited for her and her freedom and this new space that she gets to occupy. So, yeah, I'm excited that these two queens really get to experience their two crowns. And I think they're at a time in their lives where they're not really being pitted against each other anymore. I hope not. And I'm happy for that.
100%. I completely agree. I think my final thoughts are, I like that we're getting to do this episode about these two women who, at least it seems like, have moved past the quote unquote rivalry. And I think the media has as well. And so it feels like we're in this new chapter of both their relationship with themselves, but, more importantly, their relationships with themselves. And I'm excited for that. I know Christina's, I think, doing her residency in Vegas. Britney has taken a break from music, well-deserved, well-earned. Her memoir was a bestseller. I'm just excited to get to the post-rivalry narrative. I don't think we've gotten there with any of the other women that we've spoken about thus far. So I'm excited to be there with these two and to see what's next for them.
That's it for this week, everyone. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at 2 Queens, 2 Crowns, and to check out the podcast on YouTube, 2 Queens, 2 Crowns.
Adrienne and I would also love for you to follow us on our personal socials. I'm on TikTok, @KJ Miller, and YouTube with the handle @KJ and Adrienne's on IG at Adrienne Rose White, and TikTok @wrong_or_right. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.